Hello, everyone. For this video, I'm going to be talking about how to write your CPT comparative essay. I'm going to be giving you an exemplar on something that I wrote up while walking you through all the different essay questions. So as you're going to see, you have 4 different quotations in which what I'm asking you to do is to connect one of these quotations, all right, to both Animal Farm and Macbeth and see how they connect. Now, our first quotation talks about how governments would not be necessary if everyone was an angel, so we need governments. The second one talks about how governments are evil, but it's a necessary evil. Our third quotation talks about how government, even in its best state, is a necessary evil. And then when it's really bad, it's completely intolerable. It's horrific, or can destroy societies. And finally, the last one talks about how tragedy is something that is focused more on disease, war, and death, but that vanity, which gears itself more towards greed or lust for power, how that actually qualifies as comedy, because someone who can't control how much greed they want or how much power they want is actually more of a comedy than of a tragedy. Okay. So for our situation here, what I'm going to select is our fourth quotation, this one here. You're going to see that I jumped over and I already created an outline of what I'm going to be writing for the essay. Now, whichever quotation you choose, you can use as your hook. Okay, so you write it in as your hook. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to introduce both novels and authors. And I'm going to give a short little summary while connecting that quotation to what I see here. So, in the novel Animal Farm by George Orwell, a boar by the name of Napoleon uses vanity in order to manipulate the rest of the animals on the farm and creates a worse working conditions than what the animals were originally used to under Old Major. In Macbeth by William Shakespeare, Macbeth's greed and desire to acquire power ultimately causes him to murder King Duncan and attempt to cover up this truth by murdering others. Macbeth's vanity and desire to obtain/maintain power causes him to make rash actions, which ultimately leads to his downfall. Now, you can see there what I've done is I've explained, all right, I've introduced both novels and authors, which you have to do, and I've given a short little summary, which, of course, in your situation, you're going to change up. Now, what I'm getting to is my thesis, which the idea of it is going to be talking about this idea of vanity, okay? And how helplessness against vanity. So, how certain leaders are unable to control their vanity, they can't control their greed. So, Napoleon and Macbeth's vanity in wanting to acquire more power ultimately leads to worse working conditions on Manor Farm and Macbeth's downfall. So, of course, because I talk about Napoleon first, and I'm talking about how it ultimately creates worse working conditions, my topic sentence 1 will focus on how Napoleon demonstrates vanity by continuously altering the 10 Commandments in order to manipulate the animals on Manor Farm and obtain total control. So I'm focusing again. Body paragraph 1 is only talking about Animal Farm and how Napoleon his vanity leads to worse working conditions on Manor Farm, sorry. Now, for body paragraph 2, I'm going to be talking about how Macbeth's vanity and wanting to acquire more power ultimately leads to Macbeth's downfall. And what I decided to do there was I said, due to the witch's first apparition, which was Macbeth murders the family of Macduff in an attempt to protect his power as king. So vanity means that even once Macbeth killed King Duncan, he still feels the desire to kill more in order to maintain this certain power that he has. So he gets greedy and begins to kill lots of people. We see Banquo he kills after Duncan, and then he kills Macduff's entire family. So from this, I feel personally that this is showing Macbeth's that it's showing his vanity, but as well that this is what causes his downfall. I say ultimately this gives Macduff further reason to kill Macbeth, and he does. So now in my evidence here for Napoleon, I'm going to figure out a piece of evidence directly from the text that shows how he manipulates one of the 10 commandments. I'll probably say how he justifies changing one of those commandments. And then I'm going to explain why it's important that he changes the commandment and how it's showing his vanity and how this creates a worse society for the animals. That's going to be in my analysis piece. In Macbeth, I'm going to probably show how when Macbeth murders the family of Macduff, okay, so he's already murdered them. I've said that. But then I'll probably take it to the scene where Macbeth is completely arrogant and feels and showing his vanity by all of this. He wants his greed. He thinks that he's invisible, how he cannot be touched. And ultimately, how when he drops that he cannot be harmed of a woman, and Macduff drops, well, that he was ripped away from a woman's womb. I'll probably select that one, showing how that added as motivation for Macduff to kill Macbeth and how Macbeth was hanging on to this idea of false hope. And I'll explain that in here. So as you can see now, this is when I start to connect everything in, this is the introduction on what you'll see for my essay. I basically connected all my elements, my hook, my introduction of authors and novel, as well as my thesis, and I merge that into one nice long paragraph. Over here, I will then indent and I would begin body paragraph 1, which I would then connect all my points, my topic sentence, my evidence, and my analysis, and put that in one body paragraph. Below that, I would then go to my body paragraph 2, which is topic sentence 2, evidence and analysis, focusing on Macbeth. And I do a body paragraph on that. And finally, I'll have my conclusion at the end, which is just a restatement of the thesis. I found this video to be very helpful. Should you have more questions, feel free to contact me.